Now I want to shift gears a little bit and talk some NFL. Something that's been way overplayed, way over talked about. I talked about it. We're going to talk about it a little bit more is helmet-to-helmet contact. The NFL is really trying to enforce a rule that was already in place. Many people are saying, oh, why are you making these rules? They're not making these rules. They've already been in place. They're just trying to enforce them, much like the Tom Brady rule where, you can't hit a quarterback below the knees. Devon, do you think that these helmet-to-helmet hits are something that is just going to happen, something that the players can control, or do you think it just happens?
I think these are things that players can control in some instances. I think most of the time, when you look at it, you have these giant men, they're running full speed and they got a receiver coming across the middle. I mean, what are they going to do?
Right.
I mean, I think there's like in the Brandon Merriweather incident, like where I feel like he just kind of speared him with his helmet on purpose. I feel like that's a situation, that he could have helped and prevented. But I think a lot of times it's just not something these guys can control.
Well, Mark Schlereth with ESPN said that a lot of times when a receiver does catch a ball and he turns, the defender is already launched at the wide receiver. He is no longer in control of his body. It's, up to gravity from what happens next. So in the situation where James Harrison knocked out Josh Cribbs had turned at the last second and then Harrison's head hit him. He was going for a shoulder shot. Do you see the league reviewing these plays with a little bit more cautiousness to not suspend players, or do you see them, hey, helmet to helmet, you're out?
I don't think they're going to do you're out. I respect Mark, but I don't think he was right when he said that, this is okay and this kind of thing, because the NFL is a new NFL. It's a lot faster than it used to be. And so for that reason, you need to modify the rules. Listen, basically, you can't have 7 to 6 people leaving a week on stretchers unconscious. Right. It's not going to work. But this is similar to that, take the MLB and Maple bat problem when it was breaking.
Right.
It was nice PR. They act like they were going to fix it, and it went away. And I suspect that's what's going to happen here too.
So you think that this is going to be just a flash in the pan?
Yeah. I mean, I think the NFL, as much as they don't like attacking a situation or having to deal with this, they like it because it's PR and it makes the league look a little better, more attention. But I think it'll calm down just like it already has.
Well, speaking of the league getting some attention, Randy Moss has been getting a lot of attention since his trade from New England to the Minnesota Vikings, going back home where he started. Now, since Moss has been with the Vikings are 1-2 with that one win over Dallas. Randy Moss has 12 catches for 2 touchdowns. Do you think he's had the impact that he and everyone else in Minnesota was hoping for?
Well, not exactly, but I don't think there was I don't think they should have expected way too much from Randy Moss, because I think his production's declining. When you look at, his skill set, the thing that he can really still do is you throw a jump ball up to him and he's coming down with it. That's Randy Moss's. He's a red zone threat. That's the thing that he does best. And I don't know if it was fair for them to expect him, or for the fans to expect him to have the kind of outcome that he did when he went to the Patriots in his first season.
Well, as well as a red zone threat, he was also a deep threat, someone who can stretch the field. We've seen that his speed is still there. Now, New England, on the other hand, Aren, has had 2 wins in 2 games. They've also had a bye week. That's why they haven't had a third game. But their offense seems to really be suffering. They have only scored 23 points in the 2 games without Randy Moss, winning 23-20 in both games. The lowest they had scored when they had Randy Moss was 38 points. Do you see that as a product of him leaving immediately, or do you see that that's just a coincidence?
No, I think it has a lot to do with Randy. Let's face it, one of Randy's biggest contributions to NFL team is that the way you have to play him. You can't stick 8 guys in the box with him on the outside in single coverage. With that being said, now you've opened up a running game for New England, which is not a very strong running game.
Right.
And so now you don't have that. So picture you used to have Wes Welker in the slot, and then you have a Randy Moss on the outside. Who are you going to cover?
Right.
Now that's no longer a triple threat like that. And so now they're suffering.
Yeah, they are suffering indeed. Everyone's just zoning in on Wes Welker. Once Julian Edelman comes back, they might have a little bit more of 2 tough zones to cover. And they went out to go get Deion Branch, bring him back.
And that's been helpful.
And he's really been helping. But, it's still, that's kind of like saying, oh, the Cardinals are going to go trade Albert Pujols and then pick up, Todd Helton. You're still losing one of the best in the game. There's nothing you can do about that. Now, let's talk a little bit more about some of these Texas teams. The Cowboys, this is going to make me happy. The Cowboys are 1-5. They are looking like trash. And I'm not trying to be harsh, but it's just a harsh reality. Wade Phillips looks like he's a fifth grader trying to coach an NFL team. And, you know, the rest of the Cowboys players just don't seem to be responding well to the pressure that they're under the spotlight. Do you think that with Tony Romo now out, that they will have a top 5 draft pick?
I think it's not out of the question. You know, with only one win so far. I mean, I don't think the Cowboys are a terrible team as much as they're just poor finishers. You know, in a lot of these games, you know, they've been right there. You know, with the talent that they have, it's really kind of unacceptable. I know in their last game that wasn't even, well, it kind of.
Yeah. Well, I understand what you're saying, and you know, like adding on to what you said about poor finishing, that's within the game as well. They get into the red zone and then they can't score. They have to kick a field goal, and Bueller then misses half the time. So, how do you see them trying to remedy this little 1-5 streak that they got going on?
Well, first of all, one word: penalties.
Yes.
They're losing 80 yards on average on penalties this season. This is nothing new to the Cowboys season. This is a direct effect of the head coach. If a real head coach was in there, that would have been done with a long time ago. Unfortunately, they're going to keep doing this. So the only way to do it now is to have, you know, play out the season, play hard with some heart. And this season's over; it's gone. I mean, the winning record's already, you know, you're already out record-wise basically, and with no starting quarterback, I mean, you got a lot of things to work on. So reconstruct this year, man.
Well, that's hopefully what they're going to be doing. And speaking of a team who has reconstructed, the Houston Texans are looking very well right now. They have what seems to be a good mix of run and pass with Arian Foster in the backfield and then obviously Andre Johnson and Matt Schaub. They're 4-2, and they're going up against the Colts, who are also 4-2. And the Colts have really been playing some great football as of late. Who do you see coming out of this matchup on top?
You know, I think the Colts are going to come out with this one. The first game, you know, a big part of why the Texans looked so great in the first game was Arian Foster on the ground. He had over 200 yards rushing.
Right.
And I really think that the Colts defense is going to come in a lot more prepared, and I doubt that they're going to let that happen twice.
Well, you know, you would think that the Colts defense would be more prepared against the run because teams since that game at Houston have just been running all over them. But they can't seem to stop the run anymore. Like they still can't seem to scheme towards the run. And what's scary is if you try and scheme and stop Arian Foster, that's going to leave Andre Johnson open down the field. Aren, who do you see coming out?
No way. Colts aren't getting this one. Houston's got this. Andre Johnson with 2 weeks of rest when he was already potential and playing last couple weeks before they went to bye. Guys come back a little more healthier. He is the sickest wide receiver in the league right now with hands. He catches everything and anything thrown his way. And the fact that they've beaten the Colts this season already, they're on a high horse and they're going to keep going.
They definitely are playing on a high note right now. Now let's talk a little bit of power rankings. Right now ESPN has Pittsburgh, followed by New England, and then they have the New York Jets, then Indianapolis, and the New York Giants. Now of those teams, there's only one NFC team. We've seen a rather weak NFC this year so far, and the AFC is looking like they're pretty strong. But who do you think has the best chance of, I guess, maintaining a high spot on those power rankings?
Just overall?
Overall, yeah.
I'd definitely say the Steelers. I mean, what can't this team do? You know what I mean? I mean, they got Ben Roethlisberger now. I mean, he's throwing it deep. You know, his receivers are really out there making plays, and the defenses, I mean, they haven't been bad in like 10 years. So, I mean, I think the Steelers, just with the way they've been able to play, I mean, they were able to keep a winning record without Ben Roethlisberger. Now that he's in, I don't know who's really going to stop them.
Aren?
Well, for argument purposes, I'll go with the Jets. I still believe the NFL offensive line runs your team. And so even having a sophomore quarterback with their offensive line, I mean, look what they're doing. They're really taking yards over
They're moving
everybody.
people around. I mean, they've made LaDainian Tomlinson look like he's 23 again.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, now let me get your picks. We're third of the way, or I guess, yeah, third of the way through the season. Devon, who do you see coming out of the NFC, and who do you see coming out of the AFC?
You know, well, like I said earlier, I definitely like the Steelers. You know, I've liked the Steelers since the very beginning of the season when I saw how they played at the beginning. The team out of the NFC, I'm actually going to take a team that nobody's really been talking about. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
You know, I like Matt Ryan, and Tony Gonzalez is probably my favorite player. That guy, I mean, he's an ageless wonder. He just keeps going out there making plays. That's all he knows how to do.
He's doing it. Brett Favre needs to take notes on how not to get hurt from Tony Gonzalez. Aren, let's hear your picks.
That was an interesting pick. I thought Atlanta was a kind of sleeper as well, but their strength of schedule is a little softer than others. But I would say maybe out of the NFC, maybe Washington, and then at the NFC, and then at the AFC, probably Baltimore.
Baltimore, you see them sneaking back in.
That defense is just, they're just too good right now.
Well, I like Aren's little underground picks. Well, that's all the time we're going to have on our football segment, but when we come back, Carl Schoening is going to be joining us, and we're going to talk a little World Series and the NBA. You won't want to miss it.